Hi, let's talk about basic conjunctions. Conjunctions are words that we use to connect clauses or sentences, so a clause is part of a sentence. The ones that we're going to look at today are and, or, but, although, so, and because. Let's start with and. It's usually used in the middle of a sentence. It can be used at the beginning of the sentence for emphasis, but it's usually quite informal. We use it to connect two ideas or two clauses. For example, I like meat and fish. You could think of this as being short for I like meat and I like fish. But we don't have to repeat the I like again. We usually go to America at Christmas and stay with my in-laws. Sue went to the garden centre and bought a plant. So it connects two usually positive things. If we have two negative things, we use or. Again, this is used in the middle of a sentence, and it could be used at the beginning for emphasis. And if we do that, it's informal, and it connects the new sentence with the previous one. I don't like meat or fish. So that means I don't like meat and I don't like fish. But because they're both negative, when we put them together, we use or. Sue didn't go to class or do her homework. That means she didn't go to class and she didn't do her homework. We put them together, we use or. We usually spend Christmas with my in-laws or my parents. So that is short for we usually spend Christmas with my in-laws or we spend Christmas with my parents. So again, we don't have to repeat the same words. Moving on to but. This is when we have one positive idea and one negative one, or a contrast of some kind. We, again, usually use it in the middle of a sentence, but it can be used at the beginning for emphasis. Again, that's usually informal and it connects the sentence to the previous one. For example, I like fish, but only white fish. So it sort of contrasts a little bit. I like fish, but there's a limit. Only white fish, not all fish. We usually go to America at Christmas, but last year we couldn't. So it's contrasting that idea. Sue went to the garden centre, but it was closed. So she went to the centre, it was a positive thing, but it was closed. That was a negative idea. Although is used at the beginning or the middle of a sentence, and it means the same as but it's a bit more formal. For example, although it was raining, Sam went for a walk. So again, you've got that contrast of a positive and negative idea. It was raining, which is a negative thing, but Sam still went for a walk. You can move it around and say Sam went for a walk although it was raining. Though she loved him, she refused to marry him. So you've got that contrast again. She loved him, but she didn't want to marry him. And again, you can change it around. She refused to marry him, although she loved him. Notice that if the sentence begins with although, we need to have a comma after the clause, before the next clause. Okay, you don't have to have it if although is in the middle of the sentence. Though is essentially the same as although, but it's a bit more spoken rather than written. It can be emphasized by using even before it. So, for example, though it was raining, Sam went for a walk. It's the same as the previous example. Although it was raining, Sam went for a walk. Same meaning, same idea, just a bit more informal, a bit more spoken. And so we can change it around the same as although. Sam went for a walk, though it was raining. Even though it was raining, Sam went for a walk. Sam went for a walk even though it was raining. Notice again, you need the commas if we're using though or even though at the beginning of the sentence. Moving on to so. Usually we use it in the middle of a sentence. It can be used at the beginning to connect a sentence to the previous one. For example, it was hot, so she took her coat off. She was thirsty, so she drank some water. Her phone broke, so she bought a new one. Notice that first we have the reason for the action, so, and then the result action. So if we look at the first example, it was hot. That is the reason, but she took her coat off. Okay. Because, on the other hand, is kind of like the opposite. Again, it's used in the middle of the sentence normally. For example, she took her coat off because it was hot. Remember, just now we said it was hot, so she took her coat off. Here, she took her coat off because it was hot. She drank some water because she was thirsty. She bought a new phone because hers broke. So here we have the result action and then because and then the reason. It can be used at the beginning of the sentence. For example, because it was hot, she took her coat off. Notice we use a comma here if because is at the beginning of the sentence. But we don't use because at the beginning of a sentence if we're linking the idea to the previous sentence. Okay? It must always be linked within the same sentence. I hope that's helped you. Thank you for watching.